3,
two,
1.
Monkey bars.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Thick and Butter podcast. My name is Alex,
My name is Jesse.
aka Thick THICC.
And my name is Butter, spelled differently.
BUTTER.
T-T-E-R.
ERA.
Buttera? My full name is actually Buttera Biscuit.
Butter it be biscuit.
Butter it biscuit, baby. That's me, the podcaster.
Bert for short.
Bert. How are you today, my friend? THICC?
I'm good. I have 4 days off of work because of Thanksgiving, which is great. So I'm just hanging out here. It's my first day off.
Thank you, Frank.
Gonna make some music tonight.
Yeah.
Maybe play some video games tonight. Cause I got the VR, I got the Oculus.
So VR tonight?
VR session tonight.
Load that up,
Music.
baby.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun as hell.
That sounds like a good. What is today? Tuesday? Yeah, that's a good Tuesday night.
Tuesday night, baby.
Into the Thanksgiving holidays.
Yeah, Thanksgiving's pretty weird this year, but you know, we're getting through it. Turkey.
Yeah, this is
Are
going to
you
be.
going home for Thanksgiving?
No, I'm not. Even I are staying here, so this is going to be our first Thanksgiving all by our lonesome.
Yeah, that's
interesting.
Yeah.
I think we're looking forward to it. We're just gonna cook our own little dinner, and it's kind of nice to avoid any kind of
COVID.
Yeah. I was gonna say like any just the hecticness of like a family vacation. Which is wonderful. It's a wonderful kind of hecticness, but it's also I like simple
I don't want to
things.
see my uncle.
Yeah.
You know, is a little too conservative, you know. Things like that. Not that I have that in my family. But, let's see. What else? What else is going on?
This has been a less eventful week compared to the rest of the year, I would say. Like there's not a lot. I haven't seen a lot of news. Mostly it's been music for me, has been the new shit in my life. But news in terms of things. But the King Gizzard album, that came out recently. What do you
what did you think of it?
I liked it. I like it a lot.
I don't really like it very much.
You don't like it?
Nah.
Really?
I listened to it like once.
Yeah.
Like nothing really stuck with me. I was kind of like, it kind of just felt like a lesser Polygon of Wonderland to me. I liked Honey a lot.
Yeah.
A couple songs, but for the most part, I was really bored by it, to be honest.
Yeah. I think it wasn't quite as like it felt a lot less like a conceptual masterpiece
and
much.
One listen. Yeah, that's also what I was gonna say. It's like I was kind of disappointed that the album didn't really have a because one of the things that I love about that band is like how each record is like obviously different and stylistically different, and like they have like a concept of what they're going for. This kind of felt like just like there kind of wasn't one. It was kind of just another kind of psych rock thing. But like I don't know.
What I liked about this album was the combination of the microtonal stuff, some of the more acoustic oriented stuff that was in the
that's what I like about Honey. Like Honey was
right.
And
there was and I also liked it was just sort of, it reminded me of Gumboat Soup. You know, remember that album?
Yeah, that one's not like one of my favorites. But yeah, I remember that. I don't really listen to that one very much.
I haven't
That's
listened to
the
that in a
one where they
while.
came out with 5 albums in 1 year, right?
Right, that was the last
For
one that
those
they
people
put
who
out.
don't know who King Gizzard is, they're like this like indie kind of psych rock band from
Australia.
Australia, with the best name of all time, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. Um, and they have put out 16 albums in their like 5 years of existence or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
They're super prolific, and they like they made like psych rock albums. They made a metal album. They made an album just using acoustic instruments. They made a microtonal album. They made
Yeah.
an album, my favorite, that called "God I Got Infinity," that literally
So
was played
intense.
on a loop.
So
Um,
intense.
awesome concept. Yeah, they have like all these crazy. They did a jazz album, like they like these like that jazz fusion album or whatever.
Yeah.
They've got like crazy shit. But yeah,
Have you listened to they before right before this the KG the album this
yeah,
latest album dropped? They also released they released live stuff, but which I'm sure is good. I just don't really tend to be that excited about live
yeah.
recordings.
Usually not. Yeah,
But they
it
also
depends.
released
We can talk about that. There's a couple live albums that I think are like amazing. That
yeah,
I really like to listen
I
to.
really I mean I don't like them just because I'm not really interested in the idea of it, but I haven't actually listened to a lot of live
Yeah,
albums.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I
Like the
shouldn't really
idea.
say I don't like them.
So if I say the best live album ever recorded is probably Daft Punk. It's called Alive from 2007. And it's just the thing about that is when they perform, they don't just play the songs. They remix the songs. They create
Yeah.
a whole experience. So listening to that is pretty fucking badass. And they
I
also it's in Copenhagen, so you like hear like the crowd react, and you hear like all
yeah.
this shit. It's really cool. It's really really cool. Super
I think
dope.
the two things with a live album that I think would make them worthwhile is if one, the band is not much of like a studio band, like
Yeah,
let's say like a bluegrass band or a jazz band.
yeah,
Like yeah, you like a live album might be the best way to capture their sound because that's how they
yeah,
perform the song the best.
yeah,
Or maybe kind of along that lines, maybe they have a whole bunch of songs that I'm not really that into, but when I hear it live, I have that a lot where it's like but powers out like that great Arcade Fire song.
yeah, yeah,
The
yeah,
recording is obviously amazing,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
when I heard it live I was
Oh
like
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
understand
yeah,
this song so
yeah,
much deeper.
yeah, yeah,
So like
yeah,
stuff like that can happen, so live albums when they're recorded well can capture
yeah,
moments like that. And the other thing would be like how you described, if they do something different, then
yeah,
yeah, I want to hear the different versions
yeah,
of
yeah.
the
And that's
live
what it is.
performance.
Like they're like different versions of the songs, which are like really cool. And then I'm super into Four Cut right now too, the
Yeah.
IDM producer. Um, he has a
Fortet.
crazy Four Cut.
Huh,
You
okay.
ever heard of him before?
No, I've never
Oh,
heard of
dude, you
him.
gotta check it out. You
Is
love
it like
him.
4TET?
Yeah,
Tet?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Cut.
Fortet.
He's really good friends with Kevin Parker. He did
Oh,
like
cool.
he predates Kevin Parker by like years. He's kind of
Cool.
like him and like Aphex Twin are very like
Oh,
Orcut is
gotcha.
a godfather of IDM. He's one of
Yeah.
the dudes.
Let me just
Like
do a quick
really,
Google while you talk about it.
yeah, he's dope. He does crazy sampling, like nutty
Mhm.
sampling. Like Aphex Twin doesn't really do sampling that much, but Forecut was basically like all sampling. And it's like
Mhm.
IDM and he does like crazy compositions. They're nuts. I feel like IDM that's the only kind I'll say composition. It's the only kind. Like in IDM songs.
You use the word compositions.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like IDM is a
I'm just
very
really into IDM. I think it's so cool.
well, IDM is fucking dope. It's
It's
sweet
so
as all
good.
hell.
Yeah,
I
it's so
love
cool.
I just loved I feel like there was another ID. Oh, I was listening to the new
Oh yeah, 106 Point
106.1
Never.
Forever
Yeah,
album.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
another
Yeah.
album that I love.
That's a wild one. Yeah,
I love that.
yeah,
There's the one song, Long Road Home. I think that song's
yeah. It's
incredible.
amazing. Yeah,
That's an
yeah.
incredible song.
106 Point Never. So, have you ever heard his earlier stuff?
No, but I'm going to now.
He
I've
has
only
one
listened to
album
the
called
soundtracks.
Replica that
Mm.
I've heard. That one's really, really, really good. Um, and then of course, I listen to the Good Time soundtrack like a lot.
Oh yeah.
It's
Oh yeah.
amazing.
Good Time, Uncut Gems soundtrack. Those things.
Yeah.
He really creates music that sounds like an anxiety attack in a good way.
It's crazy. I sent you that meme that killed me with like the Charlie Day meme where he's like on all
Yeah.
the things. He's like looking so scared and
Yeah.
nervous. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Yeah. I did you see speaking of uncut oh, okay, I have so many things I want to tell you
Uh-huh.
about. Before I don't want to forget about this in case you haven't heard about this one King Gizzard thing, but did you hear their demos that they released?
Demo.
Like on
No, I
on
didn't do
Bandcamp.
that.
You should
No.
go on Bandcamp, go to King Gizzard and look at like the live album and then the demos that they
Uh-huh.
released. That it has some songs from this new release.
Right.
That demo album I think is way cooler than the newest
Yeah.
release album. Even though I
Yeah,
love
yeah, yeah.
KG,
Yeah.
that demo album is awesome.
Yeah, I want to
It's
hear
so
that.
cool.
Yeah, I have to
Um
listen to
but the back to Uncut Gems, flashing
that.
forward,
Uh-huh.
we went back in time and now we're back into the
Yeah.
present.
Yeah.
Uncut Gems, I've been getting kind of hype about Safdie Brothers again because
Yeah.
I watched, you probably have seen this video, but I watched the video where they were talking about the writing process. It was just like a 10-minute
Yes.
YouTube clip.
Yeah, I've
And they
seen
were
that,
talking about how they've been writing Uncut Gems for 10 years and then that one scene in Good Time about how they were when it was Robert Pattinson with his girlfriend and they were trying to get his brother out of jail, and it was when they discovered that they could overlap
Dude,
like
I've
four
seen that.
conversations
It's
at one
fucking
time.
wild. Yeah.
But the thing that was so cool was that moment of them realizing, like they made that scene, they were like, "Oh, Uncut Gems could be that," and it's like, dude, that's so
Yeah,
sick.
yeah, dude, it's crazy.
That's so sick.
They are kind of nuts. They're oh, dude, I love them so much. The thing about them is like like Benny like just literally describing like who's like how the editing will work and how like it's kind of genius. And then I think
Yeah.
they're just those like auteur filmmakers are they work on a different level, man. They
Yeah.
just think of things and you're just like,
The
what?
thing
Like,
the thing I also like about the Safdies though is that even though they create this stuff that is just exceptional, they're also so like humbling and feel like
yes.
such an obtainable
They're
personality.
literally like all we want to do is make films. Like
Yeah.
they're
And though
so hardcore.
yeah.
Like it's pretty it's pretty
And the way they got there is through such organic growth of just
yeah,
doing it
yeah.
for like such a long time. And it's like
Film festival circuit, short
yeah,
films.
yeah.
They literally just were brought up by the fucking awesome movies they were making. Like
I really feel like it's when I think of like the artist trajectory, they've lived it, you know,
yeah,
the
oh yeah.
most pristine, kind of like the perfect with all the struggle and work. Like you really, I feel like I feel it in their career, and maybe that's me just being a fanboy,
Yeah,
but
they're also New York is sick. Like,
right,
that's
right.
probably one of the reasons why they're so great. Is they
Yeah.
grew up in New York, they had this like mentality of like just fucking can't stop moving, just
Yeah.
keep working and keep working, working. All those people like New York is a weird place to grow up, I would assume.
Yeah.
It's so bustle and just it'll change you, I mean, your environment, you are your
Yeah.
environment in a lot of ways. And
I
they
just found
totally portray that to me. Like they are totally like New York.
it's funny that you bring up New York because I just listened to a blank on blank an animated interview with Tom Waits, another just very
Wow.
strange,
Love
wild
Tom
dude.
Waits. He's
He's
another
the
guy. I think he's just like he's an
beyond this
alien.
world.
He's an
Yeah,
alien.
he is alien. Yeah, he is an alien.
He
But
literally his energy is
yeah,
walking to a bar at 4 o'clock in the morning in New Orleans in 1975. You walk in, there's a guy sitting at the bar with a bottle of whiskey with his fucking cowboy boots, sitting there with his head on the bar. You
oh
walk up
yeah,
to him and you start talking to him. He has that energy. He's that
yeah,
guy.
yeah,
It's pretty. He's like like his music, and then especially like Rain Dogs, like you listen to
Oh
that
yeah.
album and you feel like you're walking into that setting and you're watching this
Yeah.
like band play this like experimental kind of blues music with
Yeah.
like this main dude at the helm with this insane voice. And
Yeah.
imagine if you just walk in and saw that. You wouldn't be able to take your eyes off of him. You'd be
I
like,
know.
what the hell is this?
It's just like it's a kind of ugliness that you just can't take your eyes off of.
Yeah, yeah.
And he
And
was
also
talking.
he's such a poet. He's such like an
Yeah,
American poet.
yeah,
What
we just this
does
phrase that he has describing New York is a great example of how good with words he is, because he
yeah.
was talking about New York and just saying it's like, dude, you just gotta take pictures of it. You just gotta get a safari rifle and a camera and jump in there. It's like,
Yeah,
dude, that
right.
is so great. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
right. Yeah. Yeah, man. He's another guy though that like doesn't really like his albums. Like I went through a Conway's like phase this summer where I just listened to like everything ever good.
Everyone should.
Yeah, it's it's just pretty incredible. But it's funny to see how his career went because the first like two albums, three albums are like more like singer songwriter like
Mm,
stuff. Well that's what it is, but they're more like country songs, like kind of traditional folk country songs. And he was kind of using his voice in like the regular kind of way, like
yeah,
kind of Bob Dylan esque,
sure, sure,
like
sure.
around that time, like the 70s and stuff. But as you like continue to listen to his discography, you hear his voice get more ground, like more like that, that Tom Waits
The
kind of voice that
growl.
he's
Yeah.
known for having now. And like as you get like Rain Dogs was really the one where it was like that after that, each one of those albums to me is borderline masterpiece. Like
Yeah.
from Rain Dogs on, there are some of the craziest experimental kind of singer songwriter blues, whatever he's doing,
Yeah. Yeah.
music I've ever heard. But
Yeah.
his early albums are really good, but they're very like country. They're very
Yeah.
country inspired.
It's cool when you can track an artist finding their voice throughout their discography. I
Really
find
cool.
that that's a really awesome. I like that about Tame Impala's
Yeah,
discography
yeah,
too.
totally. Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, obviously, he had a tremendous amount of catalog before that, of
right.
just stuff that he was just messing with before
Yeah,
he released his first album. But even just starting with his first album, and you work your way up to what's his most recent one called?
the slow rush. I
The
listened to it
Slow
again the
Rush.
other day
Yeah.
because I
Oh,
hadn't listened to it in a long time. I listened to it, so much when it came out, but
yeah, me too. Yeah.
I took a break
Yeah.
and now I'm back on it.
That's a
Oh, good man.
that's an album. I think I described this to you as a fine wine, and it still is
Fine
that to
wine.
me.
Yeah, man.
All of his album, especially the Slow Rush. I feel like Currents is just genius right out of the box, and the
Currents
Slow
is one of the
Rush
most influential album of all, like of our generation. Like after that,
definitely,
music was different. Like
definitely, yeah,
like popular indie music was different. Like everybody
definitely,
was trying to do like this. That album was so huge and so like he produced for like Travis Scott. There's songs on Astroworld that Kevin Parker produced. And
yeah,
like all these kind of huge stars were like, whoa, what is this?
yeah,
Man?
yeah,
Like that's how he started producing on all these. He's produced on so many like huge pop albums.
yeah,
Like that man is wealthy as shit. He's got,
yeah,
he's got Caleb Paul, but he's also like a prolific producer for other people.
yeah, yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, he's got his foot in all of the good places.
Yeah.
Well, it's not that he put his foot in the good places. He sort of invented the good places to be, and then everyone keeps putting their foot wherever he is.
Yeah, pretty
And then
much.
the money, and then people just come because it's super awesome.
Yeah.
Speaking of Travis Scott, I also listened. This was a while ago now. I'm not sure if I
Shut
said
up.
this, but I listened to. Oh God, what is the album, dude? What is the big album that Travis
Astroworld?
Scott?
Oh, Rodeo.
Yeah, Rodeo, dude.
Yeah. Oh my god.
I first
Yeah.
listened to Rodeo and I was like, meh. and I've listened to it again, and I listened to it, and I just
think
listened.
that's everybody's reaction when they first hear it.
That album's awesome.
Dude,
That album's great.
It's
It's
crazy.
so good.
It's fucking unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I mean, like, I think that I love Travis Scott. I love Astroworld too. I thought Astroworld was awesome.
Yeah,
But like,
yeah. I want to listen to it now.
Rodeo is. I mean, you heard songs from Astroworld.
I have, yeah.
But like, Sicko Mode, Stargazing.
Sicko mode. Yeah, I would know more songs by hearing them than I would by their name.
For sure.
Except Sicko Mode. I obviously know Sicko Mode.
Freezing cold.
What is Sicko Mode? Can you tell me this? I'm a little bit out of the loop.
Yo, DJ, play Sicko Mode. But Rodeo is so crazy because when I first heard it, I didn't really get it. I was like, I don't like this doesn't sound different to me. And then
right.
For the first time, and
Yep.
then I listened to it again. I was like, yeah, this is the shit. I think that album has two of the best trap songs ever made, like ever recorded. Like On My Good Side with Quavo, I mean, it's just unbelievable. Like it's such an amazing trap ballad.
Yeah.
Like that this song. Like that is so like catchy and like Quavo, who I usually am like whatever, it just fucking kills it. It's just and like that the whole second half of that song is spacey and like like it's so amazing. Like,
for me it's all about
artful trap music.
It's all about how he composes the songs and creates such these dramatic soundscapes and worlds that you go to, because it's not verse chorus. I mean, you have that, but that's only like the first part of a song. Right. And then it just transforms into like these awesome, like the first song that really got me intrigued with it was that the 902.0. What is it? What are the
90210?
90210. Yeah, that song. I listened. That it's incredible. It's really good.
Yeah, the thing about that too is like Travis, like what I like about him a lot is like you don't like see him as whenever this is super evident whenever you hear him featured on a song.
Yeah.
Like because he, like whenever he's featured, like you either get it's always not a Travis Scott song because the way that he uses his voice, he's not a like. I don't want to hear him spit 16 in terms of like. I don't want to hear like a verse from him. Like I don't really like he's featured. I'm like, oh, I gotta hear what Travis says. Like it's not like he's not this rapper that's like trying to be super lyrical, right? But, well, there's a lot of rappers that do that. It's all kind of for the energy and for the vibe. But like how he uses his voice, like, is so perfect. But the thing about like 90210 and stuff like that makes like Rodeo I think better than Astroworld is that it's personal. There's actually like personal stories and like lyrics, and you're actually engaged in what he's saying.
Yeah.
In fact, like Astroworld, why I love it, is more like he's using his voice more as like more of an instrument and just to say kind of cool things, like not really like try to get into personal stuff. But Rodeo had like a ton of these like really like Apple Pie. It's an amazing song. Song. The closure. I don't want no apple pie, mama. But it's like that story of that song is great, and and there's really interesting moments like personally on the Rodeo.
I think
it's this really fascinating like art track record. I mean, when everything's said and done with hip hop and everybody's like done with it,
forget this.
It's gonna be like, dude, this was a like an art piece for like trap music. There's there's landmarks, like, but I mean that was just so different and unique, and it's become so big, so big. That sound, every rap album. I'm telling you, I think Nellan said this on one of his reviews. And I was like, oh my god, that's so true. When he said, like every album now, like every trap or hip hop album has to have the Travis Scott song on it. Like it has to always sound like a Travis Scott song, and it's usually
Yeah.
featuring Travis Scott, and it's like this underwhelming. It's not a Travis Scott song, but every album has to have that now, which is
Yeah.
fucking hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, he really did just put it into the zeitgeist that of which is a cool thing when you get like those something new that really resonates with people. It's like, well, we just have to incorporate this into the
Yeah,
fabric of humanity now.
I know it's crazy. Well, it's also crazy that something kind of like weird and kind of psychedelic and like 3,500 is an 8 minute rap song. Like that. I mean, it's amazing. It's just like super catchy verse and like
Yeah.
back, and Future and Two Chains are hilarious. Two Chains is says the craziest shit ever, but like those songs are like the fact that those are hits are crazy because they're weird songs. They're not like pop formulas, you know. That's what's so crazy about like Billie Eilish being as big as she is too.
Right,
It's
right.
like every time I listen to that album, like I mean, first of all, I'm always blown away because it's so good. Her,
Hmm.
obviously her debut album, it's amazing, but it is so weird. And
Yeah.
like you're like, I can't believe this is number one. It sounds like an album that you would walk into like in 2050, you're walking to a music store if there is one, and you
Yeah.
go, "What is?" Like you dig it up, and you're like, "What is this?" You're like, "Oh, this is."
Yeah. Yeah.
It feels like that,
Yeah.
but it's fucking huge, and it's
Yeah.
only gonna get bigger.
I
Like,
wonder, I wonder if we look at trends, if we look back at this, because I'm also thinking about characters like David Lynch getting big. Like, why did
yeah,
David Lynch get big? Why did that happen? It
right,
shouldn't have happened.
yeah.
It did. And
Called
you,
out like timing and like
yeah,
when you come up because
exactly. I think that's kind of what I was going to say because I feel like if we look back at this and look back at this in 20 years from now, if we will see that these guys popped up right as when these trends of stuff, because I feel like
yeah,
right around Billie Eilish, pop music was really dry.
yeah,
I don't know if
yeah, it
that
was,
I was never really in, I wasn't
no, it
into
was,
pop music at
yeah,
that time, but it was just
uh,
my sense of it that everyone just, it was just sort of the same old stuff over and over again, and we needed something different. So
right,
I don't know, maybe I guess it's just like those timing points, which you can get kind of like weird about it. Like, it's just like, oh, is it actually that good compared to all these like the there's a concept in classical stuff which talks about Beethoven, who's like a
yeah,
genius, right, by our standards. But there's a
eh,
this position that talks about, well, kind of, that says, okay, Beethoven was great, but there was this other guy who was basically as good as
oh yeah,
Beethoven,
you were
doing
telling
the
me about
same
this, yeah,
shit as
yeah,
Beethoven,
yeah,
but no one knew him. He never
it's
got
so
famous,
crazy,
and it was all
yeah,
about the connections that he had.
yeah,
I don't know about that. I love
yeah,
Beethoven's music. I would like to listen to this other guy's music. I'm sure it's somewhere, and compare. It's
right,
like, how does it make me feel? Can I identify something, or is it just as good and we just fucking missed out?
right,
So that's kind of like a thing that's a little, I find it kind of alarming and unsettling when you
yeah,
start thinking about that, because I like to think that when these albums that like strike a chord, like Billie Eilish
yeah,
or David Lynch, that those people have hit on something special.
yeah,
But it's hard to say if that's true or not. It might
yeah.
just be timing and
I
trends,
mean,
and
I think it is hitting something special because
just just because it
that
happened, it is kind
it
of special.
happened because it
Yeah.
happened. It is special, it's so rare for shit like that to happen. And like, when something like Death Grips does come along,
Yeah, right.
and like that's obviously special. And if it's not, if music historians and people don't talk about Death Grips in
Yeah.
the 2010s, like in terms of talking about this decade, you
Yeah.
failed. I mean,
Yeah.
they're a fascinating, like, just the internet. Like, they're a great example about how they became famous on the internet.
Yeah.
Literally. Like,
Yeah, right.
they don't have promotion, record labels. They didn't go on, like, fucking The Tonight Show.
Yeah, yeah.
They
They just
literally
did it through the internet.
became they're on the internet, the dark web, basically. Never did
Yeah,
any interviews, anything.
right.
No, like no promotion whatsoever. That is special because they
Yeah,
basically broke the music industry in a weird way. And
yeah.
they basically were just like, here's this album that we made and put it online. And sure, like people knew who what's his name was because he had that successful band,
Oh yeah, Zach Hill.
Hella, right?
Yeah,
But
hella. Yeah,
yeah, and that was pretty big. Apparently, they're pretty big in the underground.
yeah.
But like, it was just like, here's this thing, and I don't think they, I don't know, I don't really know how ex-military became because it was a mixtape. You know, it
Hmm.
wasn't on these. This is in 2011. This isn't on like streaming
Wow, yeah,
services
it's
or
just crazy
anything.
to think about now.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, it was you had to find it online, and it
yeah.
became famous because people on Reddit and people like on all these things were like, "What
Check
is
this
this?"
out. Yeah, check
Yeah,
this
like
out.
that's fucking crazy. That's
Yeah,
fucking crazy.
and
And then you have people like Mellon
yeah.
Santana,
Who then? Yeah, yeah,
who's kind of the spokesman for the internet, right?
yeah, yeah.
So if you're on the internet and you listen to music recommendations through the internet, you're probably gonna go through him. So there is a weird dichotomy there, right? Because it's like, is Fantano is he because Brockhampton wouldn't be as big as
Hmm.
Brockhampton is,
Right.
would they? Without him,
Yeah.
probably not.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's going at like what we're
Interesting.
talking about, which I kind of like. I like where like this the important like where we're focusing, what we're trying to say, the where the important part is not necessarily in the specialness of the individuals themselves, but in the way humanity as a whole will respond to it at a
Yeah.
time.
Right.
Maybe there are people who are as crazy and experimental as weird as Death Grips who are out at the same time or before them. Maybe
Right.
there's people like Brockhampton who, or Beethoven, or anybody who makes better music or the same quality of the music. But the fact is that Beethoven, as corrupt or fucked up as it was what connected with people. That
Yeah.
is
Right.
what pushed people
Yeah.
forward. And Death Grips
Right.
is what changed people's
You're
minds.
right
And
because like there probably was a band that kind of sounded like Death Grips. You know, there
yeah,
had to have been out there, had to have
yeah,
been. Um,
yeah,
and who knows? Maybe if they if they if they posted their music or whatever, maybe there might have been a band out there that was so amazing, and they don't even they just play music for fun. They just are like
yeah,
in their garage, like they
yeah.
don't even they're like, what if they just pride themselves on like we're probably the best band of all time, but we're not
Yeah,
gonna release things, so
yeah,
no
at
one will
all.
know about us.
Yeah,
The only
yeah,
people who know about us is our hometown.
yeah,
They're like, let's
yeah.
go see Orange Juice.
Yeah. And I feel like that at
That's
the
my
end of the
new
day,
band's name, Orange Juice.
which is actually, I love that. It's a great name.
Yeah, I
Like
like
you
it.
just can't call yourself OJ. That's unfortunate. But
Or I
yeah, I
mean, if
mean you
you're a
could call yourself
hardcore metal
OJ.
band, you know, if you're
Yeah.
rebellious punk,
Yeah. Go
yeah,
with it.
okay, might be a good name.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, have you? By the way, this is another tangent, but speaking of OJ,
Uh-uh.
have you ever been on his Twitter account before?
No. Does he tweets?
He has a Twitter account, bro. Yes, he tweets.
I guess okay. Wait. We need to establish for a second because I'm uneducated. I might have learned this at some point. Where is OJ? Is he in prison? Is he
No,
alive? Is
he's
he
out of
on the
prison.
run? He
No,
went to prison and he got out?
he went to prison for a little bit, and then he got out.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. I'm not super educated on OJ.
So OJ did a double homicide
Uh-huh.
for sure, 100%.
Uh-huh.
And went through this whole trial.
I love Dave Chappelle's joke.
Oh yeah. Definitely did it,
Definitely did it.
and he got away with it because the glove didn't fit. Um,
Wow.
but this man is a murderer. He's a murderer,
Yeah.
and he's posting on Twitter. Dude, this is what he does. He posts videos of him like on the golf course. He's like, man, I did the black guy today. I didn't do so hot. It's like, dude, this is a convicted murderer. Just, just on Twitter being like, hey guys, it's just talking about God. You know, it's all right. It's like, what the fuck is going on?
Wow.
But what I wanted to say was, he only makes videos,
Uh-huh.
and the every video he goes, "Hey, Twitter world." Like what he says, "Hey, Twitter world, it's the man OJ." It's like, holy shit.
Wow.
Highly recommend following him because it is funny as hell. Because the
Wow.
people who comment, I mean, they comment the craziest shit ever.
Yeah.
Because he's a convicted murderer and posted on him, like nothing happened. He
Yeah.
also, did you know he also,
Wow.
look this up. He also wrote a book. Okay, wrote a
Uh-huh.
book, and I think it was called "If I Did It."
If
I
I
think that's what it
Whoa.
was called.
Whoa. Dude, that is like the can you I can't think of a book. Like you
Well,
read a
no, it was
book.
called. It was called "If I Did It." If I, it was, I think it was called "I Didn't Do It," but if I did, or something like that.
Wow.
You look that
That
up.
that's such a great that's such a great what is the word I'm trying to look for? Kind of like agitating kind of title.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
you read books about like people who are convicted like unlawfully or weren't guilty and they have
yeah,
like
dude.
these like
It's called "If I Did It."
that's so crazy.
Oh.
That is so crazy.
There's also, I mean, if you're into the OJ thing, there's an amazing ESPN
Yeah.
documentary about the
I want
trial, and
to I do want to
I mean,
watch that
it's
doc.
wild. Like it's
Yeah.
wild. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's one of the crazier human interactions
yes,
that's been captured in the media.
yeah, it's fucking
Very
crazy.
bizarre. Very
Hey, Twitter
bizarre.
world.
Hey, hey, Twitter world.
It's so funny, man.
That makes me so uncomfortable.
Yeah, dude, it's pretty fucking pretty crazy. Hey, Twitter world. It's a man OJ. Every time, every video.
Hey, OJ.
It's so funny. Let's see. What else did I want to talk to you about?
Hey, I have a new update on my physical self. Nothing weird,
Yeah.
but I my body is so bizarre.
Uh-huh.
Not in small ways, in very small ways. I've talked about my second puberty before. My second puberty where I just started to sweat like fall of
Yeah.
senior year a
Yeah.
lot. I just sweated a lot and now it's just has never left me ever since. Uh and recently, I have found out that I'm such a lard ass now. So I'm trying to work out, and I'm realizing that like my body will respond to stimulus quite quickly, which is a good thing. I'm very glad that this happens, and it's
Uh-huh.
something that just will probably happen to most 22 odd year olds. You know, men
Right.
especially. Like they beef out, they work out, they beef out. It happens. We're lucky, whatever. But I had this
You
other
work
thing where
out, you beef out.
but I have this
That should be on a
fixation.
shirt.
That'd be funny.
I
That'd be a
work
good
out
shirt.
and I also beef out.
Workout beef out.
Yeah.
uh but I have this chewing fixation where whenever I'm working, I'm not like thinking like some people bite their nails. I also bite my nails, but
Right.
I'll just chew on whatever the fuck's around, like
Yeah, you're
pens, my
saying this. I
hair.
think you said this on the podcast where you
Yes, I
got a
might have.
chewing.
I got chewing jewelry. I got
Right.
chewing
Do you
jewelry.
have it on?
I don't have it on me. It's on my desk over
So
there.
what's the verdict? How long have
It's
you been using it?
it's been great. I've been using it for like 2 weeks or so.
Uh-huh.
And it's awesome because I have something that I can do. But it you know, it hurts. You have to work out your jaw because you're chewing so much.
Right.
And here, I don't know if you can see this, but after a week of chewing, my jaw muscles have
Oh, I actually
bulged.
kind of can see that.
You know how my face used to be like really straight? It's not anymore. I have these
Dude,
jowls now.
that's so weird.
And I feel like my cheekbones and they're surging, dude. It's
Yeah.
crazy. So
Whoa.
So now I have really focused my jaw muscles, and I feel like I have a new face. It's kind of
Right.
freaky. It's kind of freaky because I look significantly different, like to my
Oh,
eye.
speaking of that, did you see that photo that I sent you?
Oh yeah, where we don't have like our beards and we're young
We look
and
like young.
spry. Yeah, dude, it's weird.
Yeah,
It's really
that was
weird.
only like 3 years ago. But I feel like
Yeah.
things definitely pandemic has put years on myself. I just completely forgot what I was gonna say. Myself. Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
You get a
That was
PS5
weird.
yet?
No, it's in the mail actually. I went on eBay. I spent $1,500 and
Right.
I got my PS5.
Yeah.
Actually, I only they couldn't sell me the whole PS5, so they had to
Right.
chop it in half, and I'm getting half of it, and another guy in Mexico is getting the
That's
other half.
cool. You're
Yeah.
getting the that's cool. Hopefully you'll get the good side where you can play games on it.
I'm hoping that too. I'm hoping that too. Most people don't realize that you can get it half off. And
Right.
if you're lucky and you're good at gambling, you might just get the side that works.
Yeah.
Half off, dude. I'll take those bets anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, that PS5 shit is chaos. Chaos right now.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
fucking chaos. I want one.
Yeah.
Gotta go.
I just want to play Demon Souls. That's about the only
Yeah,
thing
and
that makes me want to play it.
Spider-Man, Miles Morales.
Oh,
Dude,
that's
I wanna
true.
play that.
Spider.
That.
Donkey crack me up.
Oh
You can cook like a
yeah.
big wheel.
That video is hilarious. Yeah, that video is amazing. But oh, I want to talk to you about. Did you ever watch his video on The Last of Us 2?
No, I haven't gotten around to it. I want to
You should
watch
watch
like
it.
oh, I can just watch his. I was thinking of his response to Nikki Jakey's, but I want to just watch his.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, watch both of them.
I do. I
Yeah,
want to watch
that's what
them
I was
all.
talking about. But like yeah, because Nikki Jakey, who that's a fan of him, I
Yeah,
love his content.
great content. Funny
And
dude. Good stuff.
he made a video where he kind of poo-pooed on The Last of Us a little bit. He had a lot of
Sure.
things to say about it. I thought the video was fucking amazing, even though I disagree with a lot of what he was saying.
And that's how you make good content.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. His shit is hilarious. It's super funny when he explains his, you know, you know, reasoning behind it. You know, he makes interesting points. I just don't agree with the majority of what, because his main argument is interesting. It's he didn't really feel any kind of remorse or like when you're killing people with Abby or Ellie, he kind of makes an argument that it's kind of mindless and the gameplay doesn't really make you feel like that you're going through these decisions.
Yeah.
And he kind of gives up these points like Metal Gear and stuff like that, where like through the gameplay it shows you like it gives you that sense of like you're doing something horrible. And like I kind of agree with that, but I think that's one of the more like interesting things about the game, where like you're not necessarily they're taking you through the story. It's not like Grand Theft Auto or something where you get to choose how the
Yeah.
story goes.
Yeah.
And it might be more. And it's kind of more interesting that we're kind of that's an interesting dichotomy to me, where you're playing this kind of video game, but this is like mindlessly killing people, but it's about kind of I don't know. It goes along with the theme of the game, kind of
Mm-hmm.
in an
Mm-hmm.
interesting way.
Like
But
you're just going about business. It's not about the
right,
morals of it
exactly, yeah.
anymore. You're just
And like,
surviving.
and it's an interesting point. It's just like I don't. But Gunky made a really awesome video where he read all these Last of Us 2 comments and like responded to them, and it was really funny because if you are aware of that game, like that game has fucking crazy
Huge controversy. Yeah.
controversy. Um, and the comments are pretty funny. So he like responds to them, and he responds to Nathan Jacobs' video, and kind of like it's cool. It's really good. It's a really good. Those two videos, just watch those.
Yeah.
Those are really interesting arguments, and like genuinely I did not like this, and genuinely I love this, you know,
Yeah.
and like they have real conversations instead of like, you know, Lev is gay, so therefore I don't like this game.
Yeah, right. I think
They
it's
killed Joe. Bad.
bad,
Okay.
bad. Yeah, that I'm really curious to dissect that, and I think that I'm just getting more and more subjective by the day, and I'm
Yeah.
almost at the point
Me
where it's
too.
just
Me
like,
too.
dude, I
Yeah.
feel like you can approach any fucking
Yeah.
thing in the world,
Me
and
too.
you can have a good experience and a good time with it
Yeah, I'm
if you are
starting to think
in the
that too.
right mindset.
Yeah, I'm
I
starting to
think
think
that
that too.
I'm not saying that you can't identify things that are good or bad or whatever about
Yeah.
it, but the thing that's wrong is being like, this game didn't do it right like these games. It's like, what are you talking about? How can you even
Yeah.
figure out what right means?
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
what?
right.
Who gave you that authority? It's just
Well,
like,
it's
if
funny
you,
with games too, because you know, it didn't meet your experience of those other games.
yeah,
Like, okay, that's your
yeah.
personal problem.
And the other thing I find is that whenever I say that, which
Sorry.
maybe Nikki Jakey is right, and the thing I can think about is
Sure.
but it's kind of going on my one criticism of the game, where it's like some of the combat was super repetitive, and it's just
Oh,
like
yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
that I would love to watch a version of that maybe was shorter and
Yeah.
had less gameplay, honestly, just so
Right.
there's a couple of the gameplays that you keep it down so it really feels unique and you just get the story.
Yeah.
I don't know how that game would feel. It might feel worse. They
Right.
played that version. They didn't want to do that.
Right.
I don't know, but that was my one criticism. So
Yeah.
maybe he has something there. I've only played the
Yeah.
fucking game once. That as soon as I get in the mindset where I'm like, oh, here's this thing, but it's not as good as this other thing that's kind of similar. As soon as I have that mindset, I know there's something wrong.
Yeah.
Because I feel like whenever you return to that other thing, you realize, oh, this other thing is different, and then you
Yeah.
return to that thing that you said is not as good as this other thing. You're like,
Right.
oh, this is a different thing than this other thing.
This is a different thing than this other thing.
And then it all
Yeah.
unravels, and I realize that I'm just being a prissy bitch who wants to
Or
recreate that
yeah, you
magical
go recreate,
experience.
or truly, you have to just figure it out. If that's the you just have to figure out if that's truly how you feel. You know,
Yeah,
like,
right.
if you really want to get to the bottom of it,
Yeah. If you want,
you know,
it's like detective work. You really got to work it to figure
you
it out
gotta
for sure.
work it. You gotta
Work it
out.
Work it. Speaking of work it to beef it, Bubby. we could call the
Yeah, I already got it noted. Work it to beef it.
Well, speaking of having to work something
Work
out
it
to be able
beef
to,
it.
speaking of working to beef it, speaking of working and beefing, I think we're gonna have to do a serious amount of working and beefing when we're discussing the film of the week, which is this very week is the sci-fi film from 2018 or 2019, where it's unclear.
Yeah, whatever year.
Depending on where you're standing.
Whatever it came out for you. Wherever you live.
Yeah. The film the film High Life.
Right.
This is a film by Clare Denis, who I don't know much of her other work, but she's famous and she's French.
Yes.
That's all you gotta know.
Yes.
The other thing about this movie is that Robert Pattinson, our boy, the man himself, COVID free and currently the Batman.
Yeah.
He was in this. He was the star in this movie.
Yeah.
And this movie is about space, but really it's mostly about sex.
Yeah.
And it's about criminals who've been launched into space to go on a mission to investigate a black hole.
Yeah.
And then it's about the psychology of these people as they deal.
Ark is set on a mission to basically, it's a suicide mission, right?
Yeah,
they
basically
go into the black hole and possibly save the universe because they will explode the black hole.
Yeah.
therefore
Well,
saving the
it's
universe.
it's not like a savior mission. Basically, it's just a way to get criminals off of Earth because Earth doesn't really
Yeah,
care what
right.
they're
Yeah, that
doing.
too.
It's
That
just
too.
it's just sort of like a research mission to get like if they could get information about a black hole, no human has done that. It would probably be pretty revolutionary. So let's
Right.
just use these criminals to try and figure it
Yeah.
out. But if they
Right.
die along the way,
Who
okay,
cares? Yeah.
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And so you're it's kind of a cool like the trope of the black hole to save the universe, but it's totally nihilistic in
Yeah.
that
Fuck
none of it
that.
actually matters at all.
Yeah. No.
Which is one of the things I
Negative.
like about it. I've seen this movie twice. It was on my top 10 list of 2019 because that is when
Yeah.
it came out to me, and I counted it because I liked it so much.
Right.
It was the first movie I saw of this year, which makes me suspicious of how it got on my 2019 best of
Well,
list.
probably because you saw it like January.
Oh yeah, that's
And
what
you saw it
happened.
right before we did the podcast.
That is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And when I first saw this movie, I thought it was incredible. I thought it
Yeah.
was amazing.
Yeah.
It blew my snotty socks off. I thought it was kind of a similar magic experience to the Tree of Life thing that we were
Yeah.
talking about, where
Yeah.
it's just sort of tapping into the potentials of everything that film could be.
Yeah.
And on my second watch, I felt pretty damn similarly. I thought
Yeah.
it was still really solid and really good. There's a couple of moments of it being maybe there's one scene that's like, okay, that's just exposition. We could cut that
Yeah.
entirely.
Right.
I know
Yeah.
exactly. I'm sure you know
Yeah.
exactly
Yeah.
what I'm
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
And there's a few moments of like slowness in it like that, but for the most part, I really like it a lot.
Yeah. I thought this movie was pretty incredible. And like it's interesting because like, you know, I I saw this 2 nights ago.
Okay.
And I don't like I had some time to like chew on it. And this is a thematically like very interesting movie because
Mhm.
like there's a lot this movie's kind of about like a lot of different things and like that I kind of picked up on. And like the sex thing is interesting. I wouldn't go so far as to say like that's what this is. Like
I don't think it's not the central theme. It's just a very common. It's sort of
very
like a
common theme.
conduit for the themes of the movie.
Yeah.
It's a lot of it's through sex or
Right.
whatever.
And yeah, I thought that basically I thought Claire Denis, her directing in this movie is like fucking it's insane. It's
Yeah.
fucking unbelievable. It's like
Where did Alex go? He's gone. Welcome back.
hold on.
Oh.
You still on?
Are we still live? Hello, is anybody out there?
You still alive? Yeah, no, dude, this movie is cool. I think that I don't think it should be called High Life though. I think it should be called Fuck Box the movie.
Fuckbox the movie.
Wow. So one of the major a thing that I was gonna mention was the first half of this movie I found to be like almost like like it's perfection. The first like
Yeah.
beginning of this movie is so incredible. It
Yeah.
really like sets the stage. It's basically like it's kind of another
What would you
weird thing that I want to talk to you about is like
Yeah.
if this movie's linear or not. Because the time
Oh.
to me was kind of I might have been kind of I don't know like brain dead when I was watching it, but it felt like there were a lot of um linear jumps in time forward and back.
Yeah, I think it's very comfortable to say that this is a very non-linear movie.
Yeah, okay. And which is interesting because in the beginning
Appropriate.
it kind of leaves you to believe that he's isolated on this on the ship, right?
Yeah.
Um, and well, he is for part of the movie, you know, and
Yes.
then we kind of see like how he became isolated, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
okay.
Absolutely. We kind of have
It's presented in a very bizarre way, so I just
yeah.
wanted to like confirm that because it was like it was. I was like trying to figure out exactly where we were temporally in the
Yeah, I
scene.
think if we do a temporal explanation of everything that happens, we start in the present where it's him isolated. Robert Pattinson, his name's
Yeah,
Monty, and the Monty's character is isolated
with his
with his
daughter
girl, with
Willow.
his little girl when she's a baby.
Yeah.
And then we flash back to the super past when he's a kid, and then
Yes.
we flash back to a little bit more recent past, and that's all nonlinear, and that's sort of more like as the memories occur and it's not happening as a
Yeah.
linear
Right.
sequence.
Yeah.
And then we go back to, well, actually the beginning starts at still in the past, right? Because the
Yeah.
past is when Will is a baby, and
Right.
then we go back into the super past, and then to the a little like the medium past, and then by the second half when Willow's grown up a little bit,
Yeah.
that's the present finally.
Right.
So that is kind of weird,
Very strange.
which is
Yeah.
kind of a testament to it, because it's a lot of really weird jumps that I felt flowed very
Yeah.
naturally.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah. It's really cool how they do it. And they change like aspect ratios too.
Yeah, it's just kind of weird. Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah, really weird kind of choices sometimes where like I didn't really understand why the aspect ratio is changing every
I
once
feel
in a
like
while.
that could have just been like a technical thing where they just didn't have, like, that was the footage that they shot it on 4:3, and they just said it's
How
like, well,
funny.
this is what works, so we're going to
Yeah.
use it.
The
I kind of feel like it could
cinematography
be
is
that, but
fucking great in this movie. It's fucking
Mhm.
great. I remember when you were talking about this like on your top 10, like this movie, I remember you saying that like made me laugh. Like went like re-listen to like what you said.
Yeah, I don't
And you were
remember what
like,
I said.
what I like about this movie is like space doesn't really look like space, and she doesn't really care what it looked like. She just did it whatever she wanted it to look like. Like she didn't care if it looked realistic
Yeah, yeah.
because the spacesuits
I'm
are
so
like
glad I'm so glad I said that.
the spacesuits are like suede,
Yeah, right.
and they're
Yeah,
like beautiful. I mean, they're beautifully like designed and shit. And like their space station looks like inside of a Walmart,
yeah, right.
or not Walmart, more like an Arby's. The back of an Arby's.
Yeah.
like there's nothing futuristic or anything about it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I like that you said that because it does really feel like she doesn't care for the authenticity. Like the space scenes, they're clearly in this like black room. Like
Yeah.
it's not. It feels one of the things that I love about it was it feels. It kind of really shows the power of cinema because what you
Mhm.
do is like you don't need like you don't need like yeah sure special effects and like I love Apollo 13, but
Yeah,
like
of course, yeah.
all this stuff like you don't need to really make a powerful visual film, you don't need all that jazz, man.
Yeah.
This
There's a
movie,
lot
like,
of
it doesn't look like space, but it's not what you're
right.
paying attention to. Like,
Yeah, there's a lot of scenes like when he's just in a kitchen, and it's like that I was realizing it's just like, oh, that is like just a kitchen that could be in
yeah,
anyone's house.
yeah, exactly, one hundred
In
percent.
that scene, it wasn't like, oh, we've gone down,
Yeah,
we're not in space anymore.
yeah,
The whole movie I was like, we're definitely in space. We
right.
are
Yeah,
definitely
yeah, right.
100% in
Yeah,
space right
yeah,
now.
right, right. It, it feels like the shot was like in a black box theater, like
Right.
a big
Yeah.
one, and then just like
Yeah.
really good sets, and like an amazing cinematographer who made this movie look amazing. Like this movie looks fantastic.
I agree. I really like the cinema. I love that's one of the things that just really grips me about this
Yeah,
film is
yeah,
just the look of it. I
yeah. It's a
love
really
that.
really good look.
It's like it's kind of more of the Stalker Tarkovsky look in an updated sort of
Sure.
style,
Yeah.
which is just
Sure.
really cool to see a more modernization of that
Yeah.
griminess, I
Yeah.
guess, that grimy space.
I definitely want to watch. all of Claire Denis shit now because like
I
this
do
is
too.
like crazy. Like it's just like while I really love this movie, I need to watch it again just to like maybe like understand kind of the sex portion of the movie because I actually
Sure.
like I had a hard time being like what is this even like
Yeah. What is going
about?
on? Yeah.
Like why is this? I mean, I understand like there's some things, but like I don't really understand because I was really into the whole like just Robert Pattinson isolated on space and how she's kind of giving us kind of character moments through him, like how we
Yeah.
learn that he's like a prisoner and like all this stuff. Robert Pattinson, man, is
So
excellent. He's
fucking good.
excellent in this movie, man.
So good.
He's so great.
I
And
think it's
like,
kind of funny that he plays a character that's very similar to our buddy Winslow. And
yeah,
in the very
yeah,
fundamental sense, they're totally different
they're
people,
different characters, yeah,
but
for sure.
the sort of like this, and also actually Monty is a much more likable human being than
Yeah,
Winslow is,
yeah,
because he
yeah,
actually has empathy.
yeah, right.
But anyways, I think I interrupted you.
Yeah. But no, continue.
Yeah. Well, I think that you're talking about the sex stuff being sort
Oh,
of
yeah,
confusing, I
right.
think,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is
We gotta talk
accurate.
about the sex box.
Yeah.
Or sorry, the fuck box.
Yeah.
Which the this is in the past, the flashbacks or whatever. And it's like run by this lady who I like
Mhm.
how she she's basically trying to create a human baby, right? That's what she's
Yeah.
trying to do.
The doctor, you mean? The
Yeah, and
doctor?
she's
Yeah.
using the prisoners as surrogates, right? Trying
Yes.
and the ladies and trying to impregnate them with the prisoner, and none of them can work except for Wild Paxson, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. At the in the
and
very end.
yeah,
Yeah.
the very end, yeah, and
Because I got good genes.
I got good genes, and but like one of the first scenes we see her, she's like giving drugs, obviously, to the prisoners, like get them to do this, and she walks into a room and sits on this thing,
Mm-hmm.
a robot. I mean, this part I was like, all right, I don't know what movie I'm watching anymore, because
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, all right, what? Because it was like this robotic dick. Is what it was,
Yeah.
and she
Yeah.
puts a condom on it,
Yeah.
and I'm like, she's gonna fuck that thing, and
Oh
boy
yeah.
does she,
Yeah.
boy does she.
Yeah, she really
Wow,
does. She really does.
the orgasm of a lifetime. I mean, like that was one of the craziest scenes I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like
Eh,
she's just fucking this thing, and then
yeah.
she grabs like these monkey bars above her. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah,
It's a
like
crazy
it's
it's a
actually
crazy
really
scene.
disturbing.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of like a like the witch scenes,
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
scenes like with
yeah.
the hair, which I think is sort of like a
I think that was it
is
does feel like
intentional.
witchcraft. Yeah, like a
Yeah.
witchy kind of deal.
She even says that I think that they have a name for her, but it's a witch. They call her
Yeah,
some
yeah,
kind of
right,
witch in
right.
the movie, or
Yeah,
like it's not like you see characters calling her that. She says that's why you call me the witch
right.
or
Yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah,
But I think it's something that's sort of tied to her character, and I think it's an interesting blending because witches also have that theming of being sexual, and that's what makes them sort of bad is that
yeah.
they're naked a lot of the times and they're fucking, and sometimes they might
Right,
even fuck a woman. Oh my
right.
god.
Yeah, right.
So like
Yeah, right.
so
Oh my god.
so
Ah.
I agree. I thought that scene was really interesting just because of
It's fucking
the,
bizarre, man.
just the intensity of it in
Yeah,
general, just seeing
yeah.
such a crazy masturbation scene, but also the
What if instead of the this lady, it was Andre 3000's character?
yeah.
Whoa. Just was like, oh,
Yeah.
that would be truly like, I gotta get out of the theater. I'm gonna
Yeah.
throw up.
It'd be a very different movie. Yeah.
Very but also she was also like and like there were like really weird shots like her fucking cripply back and her like spine and she's
Yeah.
like sweat like crazy. You're like, ugh. Like
Yeah.
it's just like so like I don't feel good. Like this
Yeah.
is gross.
And it also feels it's cool because that scene you've seen like kind of scenes you've seen sex stuff in movies before. It happens, right?
Yeah, right.
But I feel like there's a quality of it which maybe you could say is because Claire Denis is a woman that because she didn't shoot the
Yeah.
features that like
Yeah, right.
maybe a male like sexualizing
right.
it normally
Right.
would.
Right.
There's some shots of the
I don't
boobs,
know
but
if
they're
she was
not
trying
even
to
flattering.
sexualize.
Yeah, it was
She
about
trying to
sex, but
sexualize.
it's not about
Oh
sexualizing
yeah,
it.
she's
Yeah,
not
right.
sexualizing it. She
And
easily could have, but she's not
yeah, but
trying to do that.
it wasn't the goal. So I think it's interesting too that it's like it
Yeah.
turns out to be very strange because we're so used to like the front shots and like
Yeah, right.
the side of the
She's closing
curvature.
up on
It's like
the fit, like the
and her back and her
face and the
hair and the
back and
sweat
the
and all
yeah,
that.
right.
Yeah.
It's almost like she took everything that wasn't sexy, like
Yeah.
really weird.
And I think it's a really
Hello?
effective scene.
Door is open.
That's creepy.
Distracted me.
Yeah, but I think the other thing sort of what I think about her character because she's really the main drive about all the sex stuff, it really comes from the doctor character.
Yeah, right.
And it is kind of interesting because like there's not a lot of narrative importance to the fact of the sex besides the creation of Willow as a character. That's sort of the important thing of it.
The one of the reasons why, well, I think how sex is kind of like incorporated in this movie is like the prisoners are super horny.
But they're prohibited from having sex.
Yeah, super horn dogs. But
Yeah,
they're
right.
also criminals, so they're not very good guys.
Yeah.
So you get like these really weird. They're trying to basically rape the women. Basically,
Yeah.
a lot of.
Well,
them.
there's one guy in particular who's
one guy,
a special fucking
the other guy
scumbag.
trying to. Yeah, right.
Yeah. And the leukemia guy who's also just like a fucking dog, you know, just like a pig.
Right. Just a dog.
Yeah.
And and so that is kind of interesting too. But it's interesting because she is obviously trying to be sexualizing for these prisoners because she also obviously incredibly horny.
Yeah.
So and I also like that anybody could use the fuck box. It's not like just her.
Yeah. Right.
Like the fuck box is open to anybody.
Yeah.
So there's that great scene where Andre 3000 and Lonka, I can't remember Andre 3000 character's name, but he's great.
Oh yeah, it's Cherny, which is
Cherny,
black in Russian.
Right. Yeah, and he is like, man, I'm gonna use that foot box. I'm gonna use that foot box. And Lonka's like, you use the fuck box. Like,
yeah.
I thought that was so funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting too. Because like, I don't know, it's weird. I don't really understand it, but I like it.
Yeah.
It's like this weird, like this weird sex thing going on this because that's like a real, it's realistic.
Yeah. Right.
True human thing that will most likely happen if you're stuck on this thing for 4 years or however long they're stuck on there.
Right. I think that it's interesting that this was another film that was victim of poor advertising. I don't know if it's poor advertising. Maybe it was intentional. But you go into this movie thinking
A24, right?
Yes, it's an A24 film. Yep. They kind of do that sometimes.
Yeah,
but the trailer makes it seem that it's going to be about Robert Pattinson, the baby, and that other woman who turns out to be the mother of the baby,
Oh
and
yeah,
all of
right.
them being in
Yeah, right.
isolation.
Yeah,
But really, what this is kind of like a it's kind of, you know how in Jaws we move away from Brody as the main character to develop like the three characters as a
right. Yeah,
unit.
right.
That's
Yeah,
kind of how this movie
yeah,
functions.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
We have
Yeah,
Monty, who's the main character, and we're like, oh, we're gonna follow this guy, and then it's
right,
really like kind of becomes almost mostly about the doctor's story until
right.
she dies, and then it's back in to
Yeah,
what happens to Monty
yeah. It
afterwards.
totally jumps around like that.
Another, because the interesting thing about this movie is that I think the Doctor would be the main antagonist of the film.
Yeah,
Even though all the characters are all sort of morally ambivalent, leaning towards the bad,
right,
but her whole idea of wanting to artificially create of human and basically becoming she's like the abuser of the abusers, right?
right.
She is the person who's controlling and of all these crazy people, and is just kind of doing horrendous things, which ultimately leads to her raping Monty,
Yeah,
which is
right.
really interesting
Yeah,
to also have such a blatant like female on male rape is
yeah,
so
yeah,
abnormal to see, and
yeah,
is I think that's like a very kind of interesting. It's kind of why like the sex thing is such a central thing for me, because
yeah.
like the arc and the emotions of this movie is all through this sex stuff that's around this character, and
Uh-huh.
eventually that rape that happens,
Yeah,
which
right.
is, I don't know, I
Crazy.
think that's like something that you
Yeah.
shouldn't be in space movies, but it
Yeah.
is, and
No,
it
it's
works
not.
really
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. No. Yeah, it's really interesting. I think the premise of this movie is genius. Like the idea of like I'd like to see this like is this a more like a traditional I feel like there's a traditional sci-fi space movie that kind of has this premise where it's like a prison in space.
Dude, I am sure it's not
Or-
something that idea is not the most like it's happened before. I can't
Okay.
think of an example, but I
Yeah.
feel like it's definitely happened
Yeah.
before. Even
Um it's
even like
great though.
aliens, even
Oh
Alien
yeah,
3,
aliens, yeah,
you know,
Alien 3 kinda,
kind of
yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Um so I
Way worse
love that.
execution on that movie.
Yeah. Um so but I love that premise. It's such a like a cool
I agree. Yeah.
premise. And the way that she like builds it out in this movie and the lore and stuff, like not very blatantly is really cool. You know,
Yeah.
it's actually cool sci-fi shit, you know, on
Yeah,
top of
right.
being this is an art film, you know, this is
Yeah.
a very intense art art picture.
Yeah.
Um
I think
so
you just said something cool, because it's like cool sci-fi shit, and I could see an argument like someone having this opinion. I think that this is an incredible sci-fi movie, and it's very essential that it's sci-fi.
yeah.
But I could see people saying it's just like, dude, why is this a sci-fi movie? If they're going to talk about all of like these people dramas and stuff, why are they in space anyways? It's like we're
Yeah.
not going to be navigating asteroids.
Yeah,
We're not talking
exactly.
about
Right.
spaceships or
Yeah,
like
right.
blasters or space
Right.
shoots. Like, why is
Yeah.
this in space?
Right.
So like what do you think? Do you think
Why is
it
this
was,
in space?
well, maybe not, like that's kind of a hard question to
Yeah.
answer like bluntly,
I mean,
but
I
like
think well, the idea of like I think one of the ideas that space is so cool. That I love space movies like Moon, this, and The Martian, another great movie. Like the idea of isolation
yeah.
and like that's just such an amazing setting because you're away. And I think that she used space in this movie as a setting, really.
Yes.
Like it's
Yes.
not like she's using it as like um this adds so much because they're on this thing. Oh my god. Because, you know, they're on a light keeps going off, god damn it. It's time. But anyway. But they're on this, you know, thing that they can't get off, you
Yeah.
know, and they're away from Earth. They're from away from their home. Um, you know, it adds so much, even though like it's not like you said, it's not really about the mission. You know, it's not about they're not shooting lasers. They're not taking down starships, Tie
Yeah.
fighters. You
Yeah.
know, it's just they're on this thing, and it's just kind of this prison movie, really, the
Yeah.
psychological prison movie. but happens to be in space. And
Yeah.
just adds a lot to it.
I think
It's
I
a
think
cooler
the
movie.
I agree,
And
and
you
I
get
think
cool imagery. The
yeah,
space imagery in this movie is it is so artsy, man.
yeah.
It is so artsy. It is
I
just
love I
so
love
cool.
how I love how space is presented in this
Yeah.
movie. I think it's really well done. I think that the other thing is I think you're right. I think the key point about this is the isolation factor. And I think that space turned out, we have a lot of movies about isolation. Jaws is
Totally.
kind of about isolation, being
Yeah.
isolated in the water. The
Right.
Thing is about isolation, being
Yeah.
isolated in Antarctica. So
Right.
maybe so it's like what makes this so different? And I think that space is essential to this because of in addition to the isolation that prisoners might also feel, like the metaphor of
Yeah.
being trapped in a box. And it's like,
Right.
even if they were in a prison in the world, they're still sort of in that same
Yeah.
box.
Right.
But this is like extreme prison where
Yeah.
outside of
Yeah.
this box, there's nothing. And if there
Yeah.
was something, you couldn't even go to that. So this
Right.
is all you know.
Yeah.
Space is so great because the character of Monty, like the whole thing about the movie is about experiencing this true utter nothingness in this box separate
Yeah.
from everything, that eventually he just only has himself and the responsibilities of taking care of this girl,
Blue
which
collar. Yeah.
leads to like existentialism, which
Right.
space is so good for that.
Yeah.
Better
Exactly.
than other kinds of isolated things, that
Yeah.
it really leads to the emotional journey of Monty, that it goes
Yeah.
from like utter blackness to everything.
Tonight.
Yeah. Yeah.
One sitting through the ending, man, is so.
It's so weird.
I was like, okay. And then I was like, all right. Like it's so like so they're sucked into the black hole, right? They're basically we're
Yeah.
approaching it. We're out. We go to the black hole, and they get through it, and they see this like light,
Yeah.
and then they're like, "Shall we?" We grab hands and then walk into this light, and then the light comes in this amazing visual fucking. I mean, it's avant-garde as shit. I mean,
Yeah.
using this like crazy light and just making your eyes just like fucking like, oh my god, and it just goes
Yeah.
to white and then credits. Robert Pattinson. You're like,
Yeah. Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Which is really interesting, but I think to what you were saying, it's like what this movie's kind of about. It's like him basically having to accept, to raise this girl and basically kind of in this situation that he is in, or but the end is kind of like really taking almost responsibility and kind of like
Yeah.
I'm wherever I go, I'm going with you. So we don't really
Yeah.
know what happened at the end. I think it's just kind of an interesting metaphor for whatever's next. So it seems
Yeah.
like that they got through into this weird realm or something.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
you look at it as that, but you can also look at it as
Yeah.
this metaphor for kind of going on and long to kind of accepting.
Yeah, what I feel like I agree. I think that's totally right. I feel like what Claire Denise is not really interested in showing something,
Yeah.
and showing the bookshelf in Interstellar. She's not really interested in like getting back to all that stuff, like getting to that ending. I
Yeah.
think for her it's like the film is finished because at that point like Monty finds freedom, and that's what this is about.
Yeah.
Monty
Right.
is imprisoned in himself in a literal like metal prison, and
Yeah.
at the end he finds freedom.
Yes.
And I think that once she got to that point where that character found that, it didn't matter where he went. It
Uh-huh.
doesn't matter where the girl goes. It doesn't matter. It's that they have found freedom
Yeah.
and we're done. We can leave. Let's
Yes.
go to the next thing.
Yeah. It was great.
And it's
Wonderful.
hard to do that because it's
Super hard.
because for one it's hard to make something that actually feels like we get to that point, which it really feels like we through a very weird trajectory that
Yeah,
we
yeah.
got to Monty's freedom.
Right.
But it also it's hard to just sort of not give that resolution at the end,
Uh-huh.
because people that's just what Americans want. They want that resolution. It's like, tell me what happened, tell me what it means, and it feels good.
Kill Thanos. Kill him.
Kill him dead.
What happened at the end of that movie?
I would love an art edit of Infinity War.
Yeah. I would also like a. I would love to like. I don't know a lot of people who haven't seen the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but I would love to like meet someone who has no idea what it is,
Yeah.
just avoided it.
Yeah.
Didn't see one movie, and they're like, "What's this all about?" All right, here
Let me
we
get into
go.
this.
Let me break this down. So there's 24 movies. They're all connected. Like how? Like buckle in. Like it's so funny.
Well, that's what we're gonna have to do with all of our kids, right? We're
Oh,
gonna
I'm
have
not gonna do
to.
that. They're like, figure it out.
It's up to you. Have fun.
You gotta internet your brain.
Yeah.
Figure it out. I'm going to sleep.
That is funny. I'll
Fuck
show
you,
them.
kid.
Now, will you show them the MCU or will you show them High Life on repeat?
I think High Life is essential viewing when they're 8 years old. Play that on repeat. And then next to Clockwork Orange, you know.
This will
It will create an interesting person.
now
You know,
now
and that's what I want.
what I'm going to direct you guys to, our listeners, is to go to Thick and Butter website and look at our pamphlet, which is our first product in the
How
Thick
to
and Butter
raise
show,
your kids.
and how to fuck them up
It's a book.
thoroughly.
It's a book on how to raise your kids with Alex and Jesse.
Yeah, I highly recommend that you
It
go
is
and it supports the
385
podcast.
pages. Each there's different chapters for every year of the child's life, and explaining all the movies and why.
We're in works with Richard Linklater to make an adaptation of it into a
Right,
movie similar to Boyhood that reflects our teaching
and
and
we're
what this
having
person would turn out to
and we're
be.
having a lot of arguments with Richie
Yeah.
because chapter 13, which is 13, we suggest that you should watch Solo, and he doesn't agree with this.
Yeah.
You know, because Solo is one of the most fucked up things ever made. And then next to that, we also have Antichrist. We say, just we're 13, just show your
Just
kid
pop that
Antichrist.
on there.
He's
Pop that on
ready
there.
for it.
Yeah. He's also kind of upset because we didn't include a single one of his movies
Right.
throughout
Yeah.
the whole
I feel
trajectory.
bad. It's all, fucked
Well,
up
you
shit.
know you shouldn't feel bad, Alex, because we did our research and it just didn't fit. It didn't fit. We did the research. It
It
didn't
just didn't
work.
fit. We
I
thought
feel
Dazed and
bad at
Confused.
times too.
Actually, we considered Dazed and Confused for like
We did.
3 years
Yeah.
old.
Yeah.
You know?
Around 3.
It's a fun movie,
Yeah.
It's fun. There's mood, there's drinks, there's partying,
We
So
we just thought at that moment Mandy would be a lot better at 3.
yeah, I think
So much better for 3.
3-year-old. I think that would be good. It would give them nightmares, it would really make them strong mentally, and prepared for their first DMT action trip that
Yeah.
they're gonna take when they're 10 years old. End.
Yeah, so
And then by the time this child is 25, he is a super
right.
child.
Superhuman. Yeah.
Superhuman.
He doesn't even need to move because his body will just work out naturally because of all of the visual work that he has done up until that point. I shouldn't say he, she, they, them. This could be anybody.
Exactly.
We are not biased. This is a this is a fucking cure-all for everybody.
Because our kids, when they get born, they're like, all right, what's your pronoun? Gotta say it.
Yeah.
Your first word gotta be your pronoun.
Well, we're gonna be fucking confused. Yeah. I wonder if people will wait. I wonder if when we have our kids, our generation, if we're gonna see kids if people will literally wait. I don't think that's gonna happen. Or if we'll get more gender neutral names.
Yeah, right.
That's what Jesse was. My parents named me Jesse.
That's a Jesse. That's a general neutral name.
Yeah.
Neutral.
And that was intentional because
Alex,
they didn't know.
Alex is general. So,
Yeah. Right.
I'll think a lot of names are. I think the only names are like Bill.
Yeah.
But like,
well,
fuck wants to do name Bill.
But you know what? I think maybe we'll get into the future where it doesn't matter anymore. We just name our kids what we fucking want. It's like, yeah, I'll name
Yeah, like
my
Elon.
like Elon. Yes, I'll name my kid Fighter Jet 3000.
No,
That will
is it,
his
you know
name.
Elon's name, right? Or Elon's
Oh,
kid
I thought you were
name,
talking
right?
about, yeah. No, it's
Dude,
crazy. Yeah.
it's like X Z Z Y, a weird symbol, and then
I
it's
wish I
like,
could
oh, it's ridiculous, man.
I wish I could remember how they pronounced it, because it's something like, it's, you just pronounce it as Jim.
I know, and like, here's the thing that makes me really mad about that. That kid's gonna have a rough time growing up.
Yeah,
Fucking
right.
idiots. I mean,
Yeah.
just name them like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, he'll have
not gonna
kind
go well.
he won't have a rough time because he's Elon's and Grimes' kid,
Yeah, but kids
but
are
in
assholes.
school, it's true. It's
You know,
true. They
they're
might
gonna
still
be
fuck
who's
him
gonna
up.
be going to school with a bunch of other rich asshole kids.
Yeah, dude, all it
You know,
takes is
if he was
for
in a public school where
yeah.
all walks of life, they'd probably be like, whatever. These are all snooty white people. You know, they're
Yeah.
not gonna like XZY. You're like, what the fuck's your name, dude?
Well, okay, it only takes one kid to pick on Zithor or whatever his name is
Lord.
for Zithor for them to never pop it on again, because like Zithor will get picked on and then Elon will come through and it's like, who did it, Zithor? And it'll be like, it was Carter.
And then he'll
And then Elon sends him to
pick up.
space.
Yeah,
You know, just sends him in a rocket.
yeah, shoot him.
That satellite, you see that really bright star right there?
Yeah.
That's Carter.
He called my kid a bad word, so I
called-
killed him.
He called Zithor Poop Thor. Not anymore, Carter. How do you like space? No air up there, stupid idiot.
How do you like space? Yeah. How did we get all this? I don't remember what we're talking about.
We were talking about High Life, and then kids.
Right.
Yeah, High Life is pretty cool.
It is cool.
It's really
I like
cool.
it a lot.
I
It's
think.
really insane.
Oh, the one other point that I wanted to bring up that I thought was really cool about it was sort of the subtle use of the characters being on drugs like throughout the movie.
Yeah.
Because one of my favorite ways of depicting this, which I think in my opinion, I'm being optimistic and creative on how I'm reading this. Other people might say it's just bad directing. I think it's genius. The idea of how the characters are sort of emotionally inconsistent, you know?
Oh yeah.
So like the
right.
character who's I wish I remember her name. Oh, Boise. That's
Yeah.
that's Willow's mom.
Right.
Boise is very sporadic. She was like a drug addict before, and she goes from, and there's just a lot of scenes, a lot of times centering around her, from like she hates the doctor, and then there's that one scene of compassion where she's like sympathizing with
Right.
them genuinely
Right.
when the doctor talks about why she's in prison for like
Right.
killing her husband and her children.
Yeah.
And then there's also these points like with Monty and Boise, where like Monty is the one who saved Boise from getting raped earlier in the film.
Right.
And so, but he's also, and then there's also like this tenderness where like the characters will like touch each other. They're very intimate, strangely, in a
Right.
non like sexually creepy or predatory way, just like sort of like
Right.
wolves in a pack, that they're just sort of like grooming each other or touching each other, but then it will
Right.
just really quickly switch to just biting, like
Yeah.
like without any warning, where they'll just like Robert Pattinson will just fucking hit her full in the fucking face.
Yeah,
That's
right.
like how the beginning happens
Yeah.
with this moment of like the whole scene between Boise and Pattinson at the very beginning, Boise and Monty, where Boise cuts his arm with a piece of glass and he socks her in the
Yeah.
face, and they're lying there in their blood and they're holding hands.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's a really
Super
interesting thing between
Yeah.
violence and intimacy that
Yeah.
is played into that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't really think of that, but it's interesting. I think that probably does relate to like that they are on drugs, but also like the movie is kind of like it kind of reminded me weirdly of the Lighthouse too.
I
And
know
like how like
yes.
it's kind of
Yes.
just jumping from moment to moment. Like you don't really like know the time, like you don't know if it's the next day. Like you're kind of just seeing these like random kind of moments,
Yeah.
and like so that could also kind of add to this like weird kind kind of emotionally kind of all over the place characters
Yeah,
sometimes.
definitely, definitely.
But yeah, the dichotomy is like, yeah, that scene where like, yeah, like he just cut her with a piece of glass and they're like in the garden or whatever. Yeah, like that was like super bizarre because
Yeah.
it really like highlights this really weird relationship that all these prisoners had on this prison together because they're the only people that they've been seeing for God knows how long, you
Yeah,
know.
long time. Yeah, multiple
And they have this
years.
really weird relationship, you know.
Yeah.
It's interesting, but it's also
Yeah.
like they're all violent people, you know.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's interesting that it's really good characterization. You know, it's like
Yes, yes.
it's you know it's seeing the character through their actions rather than here's who I am.
Right. And I
Point
like
one,
yeah, I like that a
A,
lot.
I'm compassionate. B, I'm kind of horny. C, it's better than that. It's better just like I only see them in action, and then let
Yeah.
me determine what this person's like.
Which I like sort of that more it makes it more interactive. I
Yeah,
think
exactly.
is
Yeah, right.
which is what's cool about it is that you sort of get to make decisions about like the character or how it feels to you in that moment. I think
Right.
David Lynch has said many brilliant things, and this is the most recent brilliant thing that he has said when he's specifically talking about paintings. He talks this is reference to movies as well, where there's when you're like you're standing in front of a painting and what's happening is this cyclical experience where it's
Yeah.
going from you to the painting back to
Right.
you.
Yeah.
What the painting always stays the same, but what changes is the human experience every time you're with that painting and what you
Right.
get through every cycle of something like that. Which most, I think, standard Hollywood movies is what they're trying to do is create it so everyone has the same experience every
Right.
time,
Yeah. Right.
which is
Right.
not bad.
No.
But I really like movies like High Life that let me just
Yeah.
stand in front of that painting and just really absorb it. It's not just
Yeah. Right.
this is a dog. This is a dog in the afternoon, and
Here's
there's a
this
tree
ugly.
behind this dog.
Here's this ugly woman. Her name was Lisa.
And that's about it.
Yeah.
But
That was a funny like thing to be like. So the first time I saw the Mona Lisa, I said, "Dude, she's ugly." And then I came back and I said, "Dude, she's hot."
Yeah, she's you really have to let Mona Lisa sit for a little bit. She is a
Yeah, you gotta let it
grower.
sit.
It grows on you over time. You just start to realize the feature, and man, sometimes it is just about the
Just
personality.
his personality, man.
I get
She's
that
got
through
that
Mona.
personality.
Mona.
She's just got that spunk.
This is I'm sure you don't know the answer to this question. I don't know if anyone does, but is that character is Mona Lisa the name of the painting, or is it the name of the woman in the painting?
I think it's
You know what I
both.
mean?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's both. It's exactly called the Mona Lisa.
So people say they say that's the Mona Lisa. They don't say that's Mona Lisa.
I think they say both.
That's Mona. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go in.
Mona.
I'm halfway. What is it?
Yeah, you ever heard Mona Lisa referred to the first name? That's
Yeah.
the Mona.
Yeah, where's Mona? Come on, Mona.
Mona. If we ever go to the Louvre together,
yeah,
we go up to a person that works there, and we're like, "Where's Mona?"
yeah.
Huh?
Just over there,
Mona.
buddy. I want to do is like
Lisa. Oh, it's over there.
yeah. What I want to do is that we go to the Louvre and it's you and me. Louvre. We go to the Louvre.
Yeah.
We go to the Louvre.
And
We're
together.
like across from Mona, and we point at we're like, that's Mona Lisa, and we just run across it.
We go up to a French person. That's Mona Lisa. Whoa.
What'd be really funny if you're standing in front of the Mona Lisa and you're like, wow, and you like look at the guy next to you like, who made that? That's really good.
Yeah.
Do they have an Instagram?
Yeah, dude, what's their fucking handle? You know,
these guys are
you know
great.
the Mona Lisa's not very big. You know, it's like
God,
really small. You know that?
No, I
yeah,
did not know that.
Small.
I always imagined it as being very big.
Yeah, right. It's not big. It's small. It's like it's actually probably as big as the painting behind you. Yeah.
That's small.
Yeah.
That's very small.
It's a little bigger than that, but
Yeah. I mean, these are similar quality paintings, so it makes
Right.
sense that they're of
Yeah,
similar
right.
sizes.
Right.
Yes.
So I don't really like the Mona Lisa. When I look at it, I'm like, okay, I don't like it. It's not,
I li-
I'm seeing better portraits.
yeah. I like more abstract stuff as opposed to realism, but of
Yeah.
realism, I like Leonardo. I really like his
Yeah.
I'm connected to the Mona Lisa because of how fascinated I am with
Right.
Leonardo DiCaprio, obviously, who
Right.
created the Mona Lisa.
Yeah.
Most people don't know this about his early career, but he actually started in the Renaissance times as a
Right.
painter.
Yeah. No one knows that. It's
And
not on
then
Wikipedia.
and then
No
he
one's typed it on his Wikipedia yet.
yeah, they also put his
Dude,
age
how funny
wrong.
is that, dude, to put like Leonardo DiCaprio, like Leonardo da Vinci is his
Great grandfather.
grandpa.
This is back when first names carried over and not
Right.
last names.
That's the crazy thing about Wikipedia. I could do that.
I know. Yeah, I know. That's wild. There's a lot of misinformation on there, and everyone's dependent on that. It makes sense
Yeah.
why no one knows what the fuck is going
No
on
one
any of the
knows.
time, because we're all reading Wikipedia. It's like,
Yeah.
what does this mean? It's just like, yes, bikes were made by a guy named Philip in Massachusetts 5 years ago.
Philip. 5 years ago. Whoa, bikes aren't that old, dude.
You go, hey, Grandma, you know that you could meet the guy who made bikes? He's like just down the street. It's wild.
You made the bike? Yeah.
Yeah, my dad
I
is
made the
literally
bike.
Chef Boyardee.
Dude, is there a real Chef Boyardee? That's the real question.
Now I want to know. Hey, Herb. Is
That's
is
on Rogan, they ask like serious questions like,
is
you know, they fact check real things like how much, there's a whatever way.
yeah.
On our show, it's
Is Chef Boyardee real?
is there a real Chef Boyardee?
Unlike this is from NPR, so this is actually true.
Yeah. This is a good article.
Unlike the friendly but fictional faces of Betty Crocker, Aunt Jemima, and Uncle Ben, Chef Boyardee, that jovial mustachioed Italian chef, is real.
Oh, he's a real guy?
Hector Boyardee. That's how the family really spells his name.
You're telling me his name is Hector Boyardee?
Yeah, well, Hector Boyardee.
Hector Boyardee. Wait, where is he from? Is he Italian?
Yeah, he's hella Italian.
Yeah, super Italian name.
Yeah.
That's so Italian.
Oh, and Boyardee, this is so obvious now that I look at it, that Boyardee, the way it's spelled on the soups, is the American way of saying his last name. It's spelled like Americans do it. That is smart advertising. That's an Italian being like, man, Americans racist as fuck. Let's just make it easy.
They have a syrup company. They have a syrup company called Jemima.
Yeah.
They're pretty racist over
there. Can you imagine some guys like, I'm not racist. I got like 7 bottles of Aunt Jemima in my refrigerator. 7 of them, dude. I eat that every day.
And Little Debbie's.
Little Debbie.
At all. The idea of this woman named Little Debbie don't make the cookies. And she's dressed like, Anyway.
Oh, Americans. Oh, you
Americans
silly.
Are pretty dumb, man.
You silly poops.
Americans are dumb. Clare Denis is not dumb because she's French.
She's French. She's hella French.
Hella French.
She actually has a podcast with who made it's an A24 podcast that was made with the guy who made Knives Out and also The Last Jedi. Ryan Johnson. And it's funny because she just talks the whole time because Ryan Johnson's like, I love you, tell me everything.
That's great. Tell me everything. Let's start to your life.
Yeah.
Let's just go through the whole thing. I'm not going to say a word.
And it's sad because I think that it would be nice to hear about Ryan Johnson because he's a cool guy, but I think a lot of people who might listen to that be like, dude, I don't care about her. I want to know about Star Wars and shit.
Yeah, but there's other Ryan Johnson interviews.
Yeah, you got to respect
a lot of Clare Denis interviews.
You got to respect her when she's there.
Yeah, right.
You did the right move.
All right, boy. I think
we don't have any more closing thoughts.
I don't think so.
Do you have a favorite? Do you have a favorite scene?
I mean, how can I not say the fuck box?
Yeah, that's a great scene.
I mean, the fuck box. I'll never forget it.
Yeah,
you know, something that will be ingrained into my memory forever. Well, if I like it or not.
My favorite scene is when we're down in the train and they explain the whole movie. I love that scene.
Yeah,
the acting is impeccable.
Yeah,
I think that the way that they absolutely give nothing of value to the whole thing, and that the characters, I don't even know who they are.
Yeah, this is a weird.
I do like cutting to Earth for a minute, though. I genuinely do like cutting to Earth. So maybe just for that effect, it was worth it.
Right.
Dump. Anyways, my real favorite scene is the title sequence when Robert Pattinson's dumping the bodies and it ends with the bodies slowly floating through space.
Incredible. Yeah.
High Life.
Yeah,
I love that. Yeah. I love that.
So good.
Genius. It's truly
life.
Yeah, so
High Life.
I think that we can pretty seriously say that High Life, in addition to Chef Boyardee, is thick and butter approved. Yeah,
it really is.
Round of applause for Chef Boyardee. Mostly.
It's time for me to choose.
Yes, I'm ready.
All right.
What's up? What's next? Come on.
Stuart Little.
Are you really? I was both scared and very excited.
Listen,
is this really happening?
We went from 2 art films,
Oh boy.
Spooky season. It's time to talk about a real movie. Written by M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong. That's 100% true. M. Night Shyamalan wrote Stuart Little, starring Michael J. Fox as a mouse named Stuart Little. We should watch Stuart Little. And if we enjoy it as much as I think we will, the sequel is just as good.
Oh my gosh.
Little 2.
I don't know if I have ever seen Stuart Little.
Oh, perfect.
I think I have like once, but
even better. Can't wait.
Wow. I thought you weren't serious, and
no, I'm completely serious.
Now that you are serious, I have electricity coursing through my veins.
Yeah, I mean, come on, Casper. I mean, I gotta pick the good ones. I love these cartoon to live action movies.
I think
they're always the best.
We can't let these films go unnoticed like they have for so long. You know, we have to remember that even though all this 3D animation from like 10 years ago, even though it looks basically atrocious, we can't forget the stories and characters that came behind these horrific creatures from the past.
And Stuart is not one of the more horrific ones, if I do say so myself.
He's just a nice little mouse. He's just a nice little guy. Yeah.
With shoes. Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast.
Thank you.
This has been a wonderful episode filled with many tangents and a talk about a movie.
Yeah.
And we will talk to you next time.
Tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your friends about the podcast. It's the way to go, the word of mouth. When you directly stand in front of a person and you tell them, hey, I like this, you might too, then that other person will be likely to say, gee golly grandmas, you might be correct. You might be correct.
You jolly grandmas.
And then they have amphibians, which is that is our demographic that we're looking for. Amphibians and birds.
Yeah, so if you have a frog friend, please tell him. All
Okay.
right, everybody, we gotta go before we make this 8 hours. Well, bye.
Bye.